Hello, everyone. This is Adele Bernard. Here's another authentic conversation, and I'm excited to have you here. And I also am excited for all those who are downloading the episodes, subscribing, sharing, and liking. As you know, those things help us with the algorithms, and I'm just happy that everyone's watching. A little bit about Transition Clarity is who supports this broadcast. As a soul strategist and intuitive guide, I help people through the transitions of life, whether it's the dreaded pink slip or, you know, changes in your family dynamics, like through divorce or loss of a loved one, or you just want more out of life. Life is good, but you want fantastic. And it's all about finding those inner beliefs, um, conditionings, and the untruths that you've been told you are that you're not, to release what's holding you back from living the fullest life possible. And with that, today I have my guest is Paul Statton. He's a holistic healing coach and wellness expert. He helps people know how to self heal so they can live a healthy and joyful life. An essential element is to help people reconnect to their soul essence so they have clarity in their life purpose and have the confidence to manifest it. And with that, we'll welcome him to the show. And here he is, Paul. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Adele. I very appreciate very much that you've invited me to your show.
Well, happy to have you. So, as you are the healing wizard, how did you become that?
I'm just going to clear my camera a little bit to clear it up.
Oh,
That'll be better. Okay, how to become known as a healing wizard? It's a great question. Okay, as a healer, and I've been a healer for 30 years as a professional healer, I quite often help people access their magical abilities to heal themselves,
hmm
right? And of course, a lot of those abilities, a lot of people identify as supernatural, like being telepathic or being a very strong empath. Like I can read people's energy and know exactly what's going on for them, what the issues are. A lot
hmm
of people see them as supernatural. I just actually call them as being natural,
Yeah,
but therefore a lot of people see that as being magical, right? So sort of it just came a term that came to me. People call me the healing wizard, so I just kept with that.
that's awesome. And as you said, you've been doing this for 30 years. How have you seen it shift and change? Because I too have been doing many, many years, and it's like what we were doing 30 years ago is so basic compared to what we can do now. Do you find that?
Yeah, well, the world's going through a major change here in 2026, especially
Yeah.
in the last couple of years. And there's a lot more people who are being open
hmm
to healing. Because
hmm
now, as you're aware, healing is the second fastest growing industry in the world. So a lot of people are looking for help because they're understanding that they're sort of living a life which doesn't totally feel right. Right. I like to play with words. I'm also a word magician as well, right? If you look at the word matrix, and people talk about living in the matrix of
hmm
illusions, matrix is like matrix, Mara's mother. So matrix to me is mother of all tricks, matrix.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in a way, people are living in a life of illusions, which they think is real, but it's not real. But now I think a lot of people are starting to waken up and go, oh my God, maybe life is more than working 60 hours a week to buy things I don't need and living in a suburban house with 2.5 kids and a dog and a picket fence. So maybe life is more than that,
hmm
right? So in a way, I help people connect to their multi-dimensional self, their divine self, or a term you like to use, authentic, for people to be more authentic in really helping people discover who they really are. And what I see healing is really letting go of your illusions, your limiting beliefs about life and yourself to access your authentic self, which I call your soul essence, the your multidimensional self of why you came to the planet.
Well, and that's kind of why I started the show being called Authentic Conversations, because as you're saying, it's like, who are you outside of the matrix? And
Totally, yeah,
I say one more thing of like, the matrix keeps us in the mind of the
totally,
conditioning. But if we drop into our hearts and we fully understand as we awaken why we're here and we live our life from our heart rather than our head,
totally.
we're creating it all, good, bad, or indifferent.
And it's true because quite often I'm getting people out of their heads into their hearts, right, to feel.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people talk about, there's a lot of tricks in the matrix, and one is about mindfulness, which keeps people in the head, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I look at the word mindfulness, spell it mind, then full FOOL,
Yeah.
mindfulness, right? Because to me, it is about getting the people to feel. Because a lot of people, as you said, they're thinking and in their heads, which is a dangerous place to be because where are your thoughts coming from? Your
Mm-hmm.
parents, your trauma, from the matrix, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's getting people to really feel. And what I've discovered is a lot of people aren't authentic because they're not really connecting to who they totally are. And they're not connecting to their bodies. And therefore, they can't really heal because I found most people aren't connected to their bodies. And to me, your body is a powerful tool to help you heal. Because in a way, to me, your body is like a dashboard,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you look
Mm-hmm.
at a dashboard in a plane, what does a dashboard show you? Well, it tells you if there's any problems going on in the plane, right? If there's suddenly air pressure isn't right in the plane, the red light flashes on and off, right? Well, that's what your body's like. You know what I mean? Your body actually shows you through its various symptoms. Oh my God, you've got a sore throat. Well, there's some issues around expressing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But therefore, you need to be connected to your body and feel the energy of your body. And that's why most holistic healers are energy healers because it's about connecting to the energy
Mm-hmm.
because the energy will always tell you what's really going on. So, part of my process was learning a lot about energy, which a lot of people, as you said in the Matrix, are still sort of connected to a third dimensional world,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
if you look at Western medicine, Western medicine is about energy, it's about physical. So therefore, it can't explain some symptoms but if you look at the body from an energetic perspective, you can understand any symptom and know how to treat it.
Well, and the courses I took in psychosomatic healing was it was the dis-ease,
Yeah,
right?
totally,
Rather than disease, because disease is the Western medicine, where the dis-ease is the ancient energy of what circumstance has gotten caught in the body, like to say the shoulder, to give you
totally,
that frozen shoulder, right? And
totally.
so when people are disconnected and they're trying to figure out, like they're going to the physiotherapist, they're going to the doctor, they're taking the shots, whatever, and you say, they come to one of us and say, it's still frozen. It's like, what's the emotion that is caught in the shoulder that you won't release with, right? That you're not staying in your body, staying grounded to say, oh, I remember. I was
Yeah,
out
totally.
playing tennis one day and it went eat,
Yeah, yeah,
and then it's gone. Like you just, it's miraculous.
yeah. Well, people call it miraculous, but if you look where the miracle, like it's really interesting, the word miracle,
Mm-hmm.
if you break it up, it sounds like me recall. You recall who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And as we talked about, yeah, if you connect to your body and connect to the symptom, the shoulders tend to represent being burdened, something burdening,
Yeah.
the comment we carry the world on our shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So if you learn how to connect to your body and pick up the message as to how you're blocking yourself, because you're right, any block in every symptom is a block of energy,
Yeah.
which is therefore is dis-ease. Your body's not at ease.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
if you learn how to do that, you can heal anything. Whereas what as Western medicine says is people looking for something outside themselves to heal, like a pill or a doctor or surgery. None of those things will heal yourself, right?
Yeah.
But you can heal yourself from anything. And therefore, it's really about helping people know how to connect to their bodies, know how to read the energy, get the message. Oh my God, why am I holding this shoulder? What belief and emotion am I holding on to that I need to let go of? So it's
Mhm.
very empowering if people really understand healing and knowing that you can heal yourself totally from anything.
Well, and it's also just because you have the surgery to get something cut out doesn't mean the energy of what you got cut out is gone.
Absolutely. And a good example
Yeah.
of that is let's look at an appendix, right?
Yeah.
Now, appendicitis, right, is caused by anger. It's related to the liver and gallbladder in terms of physical functions. And all those organs are in the wood element, which is all about anger, right? So, yeah, you're right. You can have your appendix out because you've got a lot of anger, but does the actual surgery take your anger out?
Yeah.
Probably not, right? So, therefore, yeah, it'll help the body recover, but it doesn't deal with the underlying cause of the illness.
Well, and I know tons of people who have gotten their gallbladders out and have regretted it
Yeah, totally. Yes, because
because they didn't work with the anger,
yeah,
right? And now their body's so sensitive because the gallbladder isn't helping with the filtration of their
that's right.
food
You
that foods that they grew up eating they cannot touch. And so they're
totally.
like, "Why did I have this surgery?" I go, "Because you didn't work on your issues."
So there's really two problems. One is the body can't function properly because part of it's been cut out, right,
Yeah.
at a physical level. But the body again is still going to show you the symptom in a
Hmm.
different way,
Hmm.
right? The anger is
So,
going to be the anger is going to be reflected somewhere else in the body, in probably in the liver or the appendix, you know.
so what do you think of kids nowadays not being born with appendix?
Um, because apparently you can live without an appendix. I think I don't totally
Yeah.
understand the working of appendix, but maybe the body doesn't need it. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, like I've heard that it's not all kids are being born, but some are being born without it. And um yeah, they're watching like why,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and probably because the body doesn't need it. I'm sure you know if a body is being born and people are in total physical capabilities, then it probably is telling you the body doesn't really need it.
Yeah.
Because obviously all organs, all everything evolves through time,
Yeah.
obviously to adjust to its environment.
Mm.
Insects, bugs, people, whatever. They're, we're always continually evolving to how to interact with the environment that we
Yeah.
live in.
Yeah. Well, and that brings me to the other question of how do you see humanity evolving in this time of great change on this earth?
Well, I think it's about helping people wake up because I think most people are unconscious, right? And what does that really mean? Well, it really means that most people are caught up in the matrix,
Hmm.
right, of living certain illusions.
Hmm.
For instance, a lot of people look for validation of who they are outside of themselves,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes they define themselves, oh, I'm a banker or something. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But well, no, that's what you do, but that's not who you are,
Hmm.
right? So a lot of it's because people are looking for validation outside of themselves to be accepted by the world. So they're being inauthentic because they're
Yeah.
not being who they really are, right? And in a way, I went through that struggle for a long time because I always thought, first of all, I thought the world was crazy. Then I was wondering whether I was crazy because I didn't fit into the world, right? But then when I went on my healing journey, I realized, oh my God, no, I've got to really find out who I am,
Yeah.
right? This is about 30 years ago, right? And I go, who am I really, right? And just doing a lot of courses on energy and consciousness, I really discovered who I am as a multidimensional being, not just as a physical being, but, and I believe that we're all souls have come to the
Yeah.
planet to help humanity evolve. And answering your question, right? And therefore, a lot of kids are coming to the planet now are in high energy and um, high consciousness because that's where the world's evolving, right? But the matrix is trying to hold on. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And but there is an awakening going on. so that the earth and humanity can evolve to a new level of consciousness. Because to
Hmm.
me, every symptom or illness is caused by holding on to limiting thoughts or limiting perceptions or being unconscious, however you want to define it. But there still is a majority of the population is still unconscious. They're not really totally understanding what's really going on, or they don't really understand what is their role. And part of what I'm doing with my healing is helping people really connect to who they are,
Yeah.
right? And why they're going on and why they're really here. And I'll give a good example. I had a client, this is probably one of my dramatic clients. She was Indian.
Hmm.
Now, she got sold as a sex slave when she was 6 years old by her mother. And she was suffering a lot. Like she was like, oh my God, my mum, why would my mum want to sell me? Oh my God, all the men have sexually abused me. Oh my God, right? So she was suffering a lot because people take illness personally, which to me is an illusion. Now, when how I helped her understand that she's actually come to the planet to help change that system in India, because let's face it, pedophilia and sex trafficking is a big issue in the world. When she understood it from a bigger perspective
Hmm.
of her multidimensional self, it changed the whole energy.
Hmm.
And she actually now is back in India helping change the system, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
and whether it's the caste system or bad government or whatever, we truly only can help to the extent we understand,
absolutely. And
right?
I feel that this is about understanding life. See, because a lot of people take things personally. Oh my God, I went through this. Oh, I had a narcissistic person around me when I was a child, right? And I didn't fit into the world, a bit like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But I realize now I went through that to know what it feels like to be affected by a narcissist, right? And therefore you tended to develop self-worth issues and not fit into the world because that's how I help people. So when I train healers, I'm helping them understand about what they've gone through in their life is training to be of service. And when I help that girl understand, no, that was your training,
Mm-hmm.
because she understands because she went through it. That's where your compassion comes for other people. Oh my God. See, if kids come to me with controlling parents, I know exactly how they're feeling because that's what I had, right?
Yeah.
So that understanding, right, to me comes from going through an experience to learn to be of service and not taking it personally. So when you don't take it personally, you go, oh my God, that guy went through this to learn something to be of service. And if you look at the word illness to wellness, it's interesting that illness has got I in it and wellness has got we in it. So when you change your perception from, oh my God, this happened to me, it's all about I, to we, oh, maybe I went through this to help humanity. It changes your whole perception. And that's when you become authentic, right? Rather than thinking, oh my God, this is just about me and there's something wrong with me and, there's being a victim. And I went through that in my life to understand that, right? And so I feel that authentic is what you're talking about. Authenticity comes from understanding who you are and why what you've gone through in your life
Mm-hmm.
to be of service to humanity, which is what we're going through right now, to be of service to help humanity shift out of this dark time of low consciousness.
Well, and it's interesting because that lesson came up for me yesterday. Of well, and it's funny because I was like, why am I struggling with like the hate, love, the yes, no, like right? And all of a sudden, I just got like hit. It's one coin. And I go, it's one coin. It's one coin. It's how you choose to see it. And I went, ouch,
And
right?
of course,
Because
and of course, and when you start about one thought I had when you're singing, it's thinking is like a big trick of the matrix is duality, right?
yeah,
Hate, love, hot, cold, men, women. It causes separation, right?
yeah, but it's only one coin. How are you
Yeah,
choosing to look at it?
yeah, totally. But when you understand it, everything just is. And if you look at the word
Yeah,
justice, justice is like it just is,
yeah,
right? So when you accept it and not judge it,
yeah,
good, bad, whatever, when you just see it as it really is, as that oneness, because everything is okay. It is okay. but
Hmm.
it's understanding your experiences. Because I think what you're really saying, Adele, is a lot of people don't understand their experiences. Oh my God, why is this happening in my life? Well, you've got to look at it from a bigger perspective. And when I'd help that with clients, where they'd go, oh, no, you went through that being sold. And it's not because your mother's a bad person. She's just caught up in the system. But you went
Yeah.
through that to understand so you can help other people. So
Hmm.
a lot of healing is about helping you understand your experiences.
Hmm.
And
Well,
especially,
and yeah,
yeah,
I mean, like we've both have been doing this work for a long time, and it's still, I'll be the first to say, I'm still learning. Like,
of course.
like
Yeah,
even
totally.
though I'm helping others, I've kind of gone through what they've gone through. So, and I make the joke all the time of like, as long as I'm one step ahead, I know something more. Like,
Absolutely, totally. Because it's really important. Because a lot of healers come to me, they go, "Oh my God, I don't have confidence to help people." I go, "Well, you've gone through a major trauma, right? There's
yeah,
something you can help those people with, right?" And I agree. We're always learning. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Even
yeah.
after 30 years in the healing industry, like a couple of days ago, I went through a really heavy day, and I'm connecting to something. But at least I've got the techniques and know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still healing and which is still learning. You know what I mean? Which means I've still got to go to a new level. But it's
Well,
enjoying the learning process. That's what's the difference.
and
Even though
it's in,
even though you think you're suffering, you go, "Oh my God, I'm learning something here. It's okay." You know.
yeah, and it's people are starting to say like, stop with the healing. We're whole. We are divinely made in the presence of God or
Yeah.
source, whatever people listen to. So if God isn't broken and if God isn't sick or got disease, why do we I? Right?
And I think this is a really good point because a lot of people have a misperception of healing. So a lot of people think healing is becoming spiritual. And say no,
Yeah.
you are complete as a spirit. I
Hmm.
said no. People go, I'm going more spiritual. No, healing is actually coming the opposite way.
Hmm.
To me, it's about not, we don't need to change as a spirit. So when people call spiritual healing, go, what? Spirits don't need healing. What healing is about to me is knowing how to bring your essence into the body so that you can live your purpose. Because all symptoms are because you're not bringing your energy through your body, right? Your
Hmm.
consciousness. You're not being authentic, and therefore you're going to show up as a symptom. So to me, it's about learning how to be a multi-dimensional being on earth. I feel that's what healing is really about. Not how to be a spirit or whatever. No, how to bring your consciousness and your vibration into this planet, which is pretty crazy. You know what I mean? Because a lot of
Yeah.
people still aren't open. So when I talk about being telepathic, or people go, "What? You're fucking crazy. What do you mean?" Right? And or you're
I was
talking to
like,
people, yeah, yeah, or you're talking to
yeah,
people across over, or I can talk to kids who haven't come to the planet yet. You know what I mean? And they
yeah.
go, "What? What are you talking about? You know, you're crazy." So people, that's still seen as being crazy because people don't understand themselves as a multidimensional being of how to bring your abilities to the planet. But you need to bring your abilities to the planet so that you can help the world evolve. To me, we've all got special abilities. I'm not a
Well,
singer, but you know,
but that, I mean, it's really interesting because now that we have this walking computer with us all the time in smartphones, um, I remember a friend years ago saying, "How do you always know to call me?" And I go, "You call me first." And she goes, "I didn't call you." I go, "Telepathically, you did."
yeah,
Right?
totally.
And she'd be like, "What?" And I go, "I'd be wherever and call her. She needs you." And so I'd call.
And of course, it's called intuition, right?
Or telepathy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like they're sending you a message, right?
Yeah.
Like my dad, he would never acknowledge his magic, right? But Dad would always ring me up when something was going on, right? And I go, "Dad, how do you know something's going on?" He said, "Oh, no, 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 I don't know. Just ring you up." But I knew that he knew, right? But he just wouldn't want to acknowledge it, right? So yeah,
Well,
it's
because of the stigma, right? Because especially
absolutely,
your dad's age, it was
yeah, yeah,
more the women who had that gift. The men just went to work.
yeah, totally, yeah, yeah. He was an office worker, typical office worker,
Hmm.
right? And therefore, no, that wasn't even acknowledged. It's not even in women, you know what I mean? Because my mum certainly didn't acknowledge her magic either, right? But
Oh,
that
I don't know.
intuition,
Those stitch and chat circles. There's magic in those things.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, totally.
They just
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know it. Like they
yeah,
just
yeah,
think they're, chit chatting. And it's like, yeah, whatever.
yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the intuition is one of those abilities that a lot of people, you see, if you're thinking a lot, you block your intuition of just
Hmm.
knowing. Because I don't think a lot. I just know, oh, this feels right or that feels right, right?
Hmm.
Just
Or
from
take a
feeling.
right. Why am I going right? Just
Yeah,
take the right. And then you
because
miss the accident.
yeah, because it feels right. As you talked before about being in your heart and feeling.
Yeah.
Intuition is not about thinking; it's about feeling
Yeah.
and what feels right at the time. Totally,
Yeah.
totally
And
agree.
anyone listening to the show, we all have the intuition. We're
Totally.
all born with this. It's all
Yeah,
about taking that step back and actually feeling it in your body. Like even as simple as like practicing on what do you want to wear today?
yeah,
And you
totally.
stand at your closet and you go, do I feel green? Do I feel red? What do I feel?
Yeah, totally.
And slowly listen to and that muscle, just like any muscle going to the gym, it will get better, it will get stronger, you know.
But you've got to actually, it's like building any muscle at the gym. Like you got to keep doing it, otherwise it
Hmm.
loses its strength.
Hmm.
And when people are thinking a lot and being busy, which is part of the trick of the matrix, right, is to so people feel disconnected, right,
Hmm.
because they're so busy all the time.
Hmm.
Then they don't trust their intuition
Or they
because
shut it off like I did.
they shut it off, right? Well, so did I, because when I was a kid, I used to say, "Oh, Dad, this is going to happen today," and he said, "No, you don't know that." No, I can feel it, and it would happen. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But then I started to doubt myself because everyone told me, "No, you can't. You don't know that." So what? Well, I do know that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's not real until I got back into my healing that I totally trusted myself. Because
Yeah.
I know whatever when I pick up when I'm connecting to people and helping them with their healing, I know when I pick up an energy, I know it's always right. Right. It just
Yeah.
is because I feel it and I just trust what I feel.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, there's been times that I'll be like, out with friends and they'll go, okay, let's go in here. And I'll go to step in the store. Nope. And they're like, nope. I go, nope. You guys go in. I'll be out here.
Yeah.
Right? Or let's go to this restaurant. Nope. Let's go over here.
And I've
And
got
then,
I've got an opposite story. I was walking past these shops and my body said you got to go into this. It's called the taco shop. They sell a lot of alternative stuff, right? And I thought, no, I don't really want to buy anything, but my intuition told me I had to walk in. Because sometimes with your intuition, it says you do things you don't know why. But I
yeah,
just trusted it. Okay, I'm walking into the shop, right?
yeah.
Just after I walked in, another lady walked in. She turned around. We looked at each other. And she said, "My God, we know each other," and we ended up becoming good friends. Because I knew her from a past life. So
Oh,
that's
that's
obviously,
hilarious.
so that's obviously why I went into the shop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and
Because sometimes,
I went to a crystal shop just to get a few crystals one day, and a deck of cards fell out 3 times. And I'm like, really? I wasn't buying anything other than two small crystals. And now
yeah,
it's
yeah,
one of my favorite decks.
yeah. It's like the universe puts things in front of you. Can you see it yet? And if not, put it in
Yeah.
front of you. Oh my God, maybe you need something I need to look at. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Well,
that's where,
and that was a lesson I learned with a girlfriend because as she was a single mom, like I just helped her a lot, right? Like I just was around a lot, whatever.
yeah,
And so I would see her lessons and handle them. And then all of a sudden I'm like, why am I doing this? She has to learn the lesson. And I'd give them back to her. And then like the whole house would cave in. And she goes, what is going on? And I'm like, sorry, I've been doing all those, like the rock, the brick, like all the way up, right? Before the big thing happens. And, and I don't know anyone that I've talked to that hasn't had that big incident or trauma or something or a loved one passing that they haven't seen, like when they look back at the 2020 vision, Oh, I missed the scenes. I miss, or, you know, but like he or she was perfect for me until they break up and all the red flags, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Because like I like the word emergency, right? Because like you're talking like emergency, like a major drama in our life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the word emergency, if you break it up, it sounds like emerge and see, right? It's like, oh my God, you haven't seen it, like you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So you're given a big thing. Can you see it now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is sort
Well,
of that sort of happened to me in '96, right? Like I
okay.
was getting big signals, a bit like you were saying, right, in my
Mm-hmm.
life, right? Had a broken relationship, and um, I was teaching at university at the time, but I wasn't really happy, even though I won a national teaching award. But like, there were signs I was feeling that things just didn't feel right, but I didn't know quite what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But then in '96, one of my friends was in a car accident. He almost died, and when I went into hospital, he really shook me up. And after that, I thought I've got to change my life
Mm-hmm.
because that could have been me. Like he's binge drinking at the time, and I was drinking at the time. I thought, hell, that could be me,
Yeah.
and that sort of woke me up. You know what I mean? Quite often
Well,
people think, like, you know what? It's the princess is going to come and kiss you and wake you up. But no, quite often it's an emergency that will wake you up. That's what sort of really woke me up because there was enough pain, and pain is a motivator.
yeah.
Oh my God, I can't live this anymore. When I saw my friend hospital, I thought he was going to die. He didn't, but I thought he's going to die. I thought that really woke me up. I can't do this anymore. So that's why I left university and I did a lot of training and energy and consciousness to really find out who I was,
Yeah.
personal healing. Yeah,
Yeah, but so this is what I've always said. The accident is the incident waiting to happen for you to
totally.
see the truth.
So in a way, it's not really an accident. We've really created it to help us see. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but
So
it's
yeah,
just yeah, it is. And I also it was interesting as you were saying like he ended up in the accident drinking. Wineries are selling off or changing what they're planting because the younger kids aren't drinking,
no, no,
right? They want to be conscious at all times. And I
totally.
think that's amazing because I have one friend who he still drinks. And I said, interesting. How can you do that? And he says, what do you mean? I said, everyone I know that is in this work, there's no way we touch alcohol. Like it's like, because I remember, in my late 20s or late teens, early 20s, and going to the bars or the clubs with my
Yeah,
friends, between spirit talking
yeah.
and spirits, I said, nah, one's got to go. And so I stopped drinking. Like I was just like, I can't do both. Like this is insane.
I can't even be around people who drink. And I had an interesting experience about 2 years ago. I helped this lady move house, right? And she bought me lunch afterwards and she had a beer. And I thought, oh, she said, oh, you want a drink? And I thought, okay. I had a vodka and a bit of lemon. I had one sip. I'm like, only one sip. And
Yeah.
the whole room was spinning. And I thought, no,
Yeah.
I can't even touch alcohol. See, I just can't I can't drink alcohol and I can't even be around people who drink alcohol because my body just doesn't vibrate with it anymore. It's just because you're right, when you're on this journey and you're in a very high vibration, well, there's just certain things you can't do. Like you just
I
can't,
can
I can't,
still I can still be around it. Like I can still go to the bar side of a restaurant
yeah,
before it's busy, like, the happy hour time when it's just kind of like come in and I
yeah,
can
yeah,
still do that. Not frequently, but I
yeah, yeah,
can. Um, but I haven't had alcohol in this body for over 25 years
yeah, yeah, yeah.
or more because I started really young. So I quit really young. Yeah.
That's quite interesting. I like live music, so but I'll go to sort of clubs, bars, which I can sort of sit outside and listen to the music. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you're right. I could go inside, maybe buy a drink, like a soft drink, all right. But I can't hang around inside there like a few minutes because to me, your body absorbs things around you,
Yeah.
right? It just normally does, right? And I can't. For me, I'm just so sensitive. I can't even be around people for too long. A few minutes, I'm out of that bar quickly. I can tell you.
Well, that's curious to me now because it's been years since I've been in a bar. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yet, I can go into a Starbucks, like a coffee shop, and not drink coffee and feel like I've had five espressos by the time I leave.
Yeah, yeah, 'cause you're probably feeling the energy from the other people, right?
Yeah, like it's just like wackadoodle. And then, like, I'll tend to walk over to meet my friends or whatever, and they go, "Do you want to lift home?" No, I got enough espresso in me. I'm gonna just fly home, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
totally.
and they
Yeah, yeah.
laugh because they know I don't drink coffee, right? So they're like, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, because your body sort of absorbs that energy from
Yeah,
being around people
yeah.
who drink it.
Well, and I always used like from little kid, I used to always say, the only thing I love about coffee is when they first open the can and that aroma that I'm like, that's the only time. Once the can's open a day, no, it doesn't matter. It's done.
See when I really like chai lattes, with almond milk, not normal milk, but yeah, I really like chai because chai actually my body likes chai, like it really
Hmm.
likes the energy of chai.
Hmm.
Yeah, as long as it's not in dairy. But yeah, my body just can't touch dairy at all. But yeah, it likes almond milk or oat milk with a chai
So,
latte.
do you find that your body's shifting as the energy shift?
Absolutely. And
Okay.
sometimes I feel a bit ill, and my body's saying, no, you're not holding on to stuff. Your body's actually going through a recalibration into a
Hmm.
higher vibration. So sometimes my healing and being in bed, people might call it sick. I'm calling it, no, my body's actually upgrading.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bit like taking your car in and you're upgrading it, you know what I mean, to a
Yeah.
more powerful engine or something
Well,
like that. That's what
and
my body does sometimes. It's upgrading to a higher vibration and it needs to rest to do that.
yeah.
So sometimes
Um,
I'll spend half a day in bed just resting, not doing anything.
yeah.
And my body's saying it's just recalibration. It's just actually changing its energy to link into the new vibrations that my body's connecting to.
Well, and I can attest to that because um last weekend a few of us got caught up in the grief sorrow swirl of then consciousness. It's like, what's happening? Like,
Yeah, totally.
right? And my body's just doing everything and I'm just going, thank you. Because after you start feeling better, you're just going, okay, we got through that. Thanks. You know? But it's
And I think
understanding what it is that trips me up sometimes because I'll be like, what's going on? I don't.
because it's really interesting. It's like being a conscious being is challenging being in a world where most people are unconscious, right?
Hmm.
And even look at the word understanding. It's an interesting word. What understanding under where you stand is the earth. That's really interesting. So to me, understanding is about like what is about the earth. What's really going here on the earth, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes us very sensitive people or empaths, if you want to call us, is sometimes I feel these vibrations. I know it's not me, and I go, "Oh my God, what energy am I really feeling?" You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
before the COVID scam, about 3 months before COVID, I could feel something was happening. I couldn't totally identify it, but my body said to me, "You got to go online." That's what it said. And I live in Melbourne, Australia, which is
Wow.
it was one of the most locked down cities during the COVID scam, right? But my intuition, I picked up the energy from the collective. Something's going on, and my body interpreters know you got to go online. So I actually went online 3 months. I started running courses online rather than the physical because you couldn't do it once COVID came. You couldn't do that in the physical in Melbourne, right? So I think that's an interesting point you bring up. Is it's about how, as conscious beings, how do we actually interact with an unconscious world? That's the challenge. Even though
Yeah.
we are here to help shift it.
And it's interesting because I was finishing up my supply chain management in university. And I remember one of my classmates saying, what do you think? Where are you going to use it? And I go, I don't know. I think I'm done with this all. And is also a tour operator at the same time. And I was like, I think I'm done with the bus too. And I went, what the heck does all this mean? And I was on my last ski trip, um, just west here, and We were laughing. What do you mean they're going to shut the world down? Whatever. And I was like, went from seeing thousands of people every day to my computer screen. Now what?
Yeah, totally. It was a really interesting
Yeah.
challenge. You know what I mean? And it's quite
Yeah.
interesting because my mum decided to cross over about a month into COVID. And I can
Oh,
speak to my
wow.
mum, right? Like my mum was 93. She's a strong person. I said, Mum, why did you cross over? And she said, Look, Paul, I'm in a nursing home. I couldn't even allow me to talk to any other people. And my family can't visit me. Why am I here? I'm in a prison.
Right.
I might as well cross over and talk to dad. You know what I mean? And be with
Yeah.
dad. So she
Well,
thought he said, no.
and 93, like
Yeah.
she had a good life.
She did. She wanted to make 100. Mum said, I want to live to 100. And it's
Yeah.
really interesting, Adele, because like my mum was such a strong-minded person.
Yeah.
Her body was starting to pack up. She couldn't totally walk properly and stuff. Every time I went and see her, she'd say, Paul, how come I can't do what I'm not used to do? And I said, Mum, it might have something to do with being 93 years old because her mind was so strong still.
Yeah. Same with my
Yeah.
grandma. She was 97
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
she finally crossed over. And but she told me, see, this was the difference. Like, um, in February, she kind of muttered something to the effect of, when all my kids are together for one last time, I'm going. I said, going where? I said, come on, Grandma. I said, you got lots of life in you, right? And she goes, no, I'll be gone. And then my uncle didn't come for her birthday. She was furious. I said, what's the big deal? He didn't come. He's coming in next month. And she just like started pouting. And I went, okay. Then everyone came up. I'm out with friends and we're just about to order. And I said, guys, I got to go. And they're like, why don't I go? I got to go to my mom and dad's. I'm being called. And so the whole family's all gathered, whatever. And my grandma looked at me and she goes, let's take me back. Like she was living in a residence, right? Take me back home. I'm just cold. I can't get warm. And we went, okay. And she died at 2 a.m. that night. And I went, oh my God, she told me in February because my aunt and uncle had flown in that morning.
And
So they were here for the funeral. They helped for the funeral and then flew home.
it's really interesting because I know a funeral director, right? And he said to me, he said the most busiest time for deaths is after Christmas. And I
Hmm.
think it's the same reason you talked about. They're with their family, right, on Christmas Day, because usually Christmas is a family, and they're all family together. And they go, oh, okay, that's cool. Now I've completed. Now I'm going to move on. A bit like your grand, bit like your
Yep.
mum, right? So I
Well,
think,
and same with a client of mine. They had a big celebration for her 100th. She was good for a week, like a week into her 100th, and then she ended up in hospice and gone 2 weeks later.
hmm.
And so I have another friend who's 100, and I'm trying to get a hold of her, and her phone keeps on saying it's full. So I'm like, I don't know if she's here, they're gone, or I don't know.
It's really interesting. I had an experience with my brother-in-law who died from cancer. And I
Hmm.
remember the day his body had packed up, right? And he was at home. And like it was, he died the next day. I went and saw him. He had no issues with death. He had totally accepted it. He was more worried about my sister. Oh my God, what's going to happen to her? And you know what I mean? Because my sister had a lot of attachment issues. But just talking to a guy that had actually accepted death and knew that he was going to pass
Hmm.
soon was a really, really interesting experience. Knowing someone just totally accepted, it's okay. Just moving on. I'm going to be all right. But oh my God, what about your sister? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It
Well,
was a
I've
really interesting
accepted
experience.
it.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Because
Like if I,
as we know, like death is one of the illusions in the Matrix. You know
well,
what I mean?
we
Yeah,
only get rid of the meat suit.
totally,
Our soul doesn't
absolutely,
die.
totally. And that's quite often part of what it does. I help people connect to people who've crossed over, right?
Hmm.
And I had a client the other day. It's really interesting. Her mum's crossed over, and she's actually written a book about her and her mother, and she's got some issues about um, publishing it. But it's really interesting because, of course, when I'm talking to her, mother's talking to me, right? And I said, no, your mother's. She said, oh, do you reckon my mum likes the book? I said, yeah, your mum loves it. She reckons it's really, really cool. You know what I mean? And and I said, no, that book is going to be really powerful because it talks a lot about what she went through and the illusion of grief. Because obviously grief is an illusion because we don't lose people because we can still connect to them. The soul still, as you're saying, the soul is eternal.
Hmm.
And that I feel she's written that book as that's part of her purpose. Talking about, we talked today about purpose and why you're
Hmm.
here. And I think, no, that's part of your purpose is to write that book. You're right. And
Well,
she's got a really beautiful picture on the front, with her holding her hand with her mum, walking
yeah.
away, walking along this path together. It's like I said, my God, it's an amazing picture. I said, this book is going to be totally successful.
But it's like that poem, right? The footprints,
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
when
yeah.
God is carrying us.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And it's also interesting because I knew another lady who was in dementia, right? She didn't
Yeah.
remember her husband when he died
Yeah.
yet. 3 days before her transition, she kept on saying, "Oh, Don's here. I'm fine," which is her husband. He was coming to cross her over. She didn't remember him in life, but she knew who he was to cross over.
Isn't that interesting?
Hmm.
Yeah, I had an experience with my dad had dementia at the end, and it was really, really interesting because mm, p- from working with people with dementia, they're choosing not to be present, right? They don't want to
Hmm.
be here anymore because they can't face their reality in the earth dimension. And it was really interesting because dad always had issue with me being with mum alone because mum and I had a strong connection.
Mm.
And it was like the earth was playing a joke on him because like I was in my room with my dad and my mum. My dad was sort of away in another reality, and mum and I having this big conversation. Mum and I would laugh and say, "Well, this is what we always wanted to do, right?" Having conversation. Dad was there, but he wasn't really there. It was really
Yeah.
interesting. Mm.
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting too, that they don't want to be here anymore. And then I was talking to a doctor who's gone back to do research on sundowners, right? And he's starting to realize that sundowners is actually um, little forms of epilepsy. So here in their sleep, when everyone's like, "Oh, they're all in bed, we don't have to pay attention to them," they're having epilepsy episodes, but they don't know. And so they come to get them up for breakfast. They're still in that epilepsy state. And then you put them in the dining hall and they're losing it. And they're
Mhm.
like, and they're calling it sundowners. And he's like, it's not sundowners. They're actually having epilepsy. And then I know one of the clients that'd be like, she'd be kind of gruff or whatever, but she's a really sweet lady. And I go, "Why are you so grumpy?" "I'm not grumpy." I said, "You are," right? And then I said, "Okay, let's think of your favoriteest place to be. Is it at the farm?" "No." And we go into different lifetimes, right? And her family would be like, "How do you get to say all this?" I'm like, "Because I believe it. I know it. I just follow wherever they go, you know."
Mhm.
And but
Yeah.
but so what's your take on why they hang on?
Clarify your question. Why people are still here? You're saying?
Yeah, like if they got dementia, they don't want to be here anymore. Why are
Okay.
they
I'll
hanging on?
I'll give you my dad as an experience, right?
Okay.
Because I asked dad, I never talked to dad about spirituality because he wasn't open to it. I could talk to him telepathically, right? And I said, Dad, why are you still here? Right?
Hmm.
Because he loved to be controlled. He was a control freak. Now, when he got put in a nursing home, he didn't like it because he was out of control. He couldn't control things. That's why he went into dementia, right? And
So
while he
he
had
did, sorry, so he didn't have dementia while he's still at home with your mom. It was after he
no,
went in the home.
yes,
Ah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So this is and yeah, and I'm working with someone else with dementia. And there's a life that her mum can't face right now, and that's why she's gone into dementia. But I thought, well, Dad, why you're not really here anyway? Why are you here? And he said, oh, I'm here to look after Mum. So he still had this belief that he was here to look after Mum
Hmm.
because that's like he was his attitude that sort of. male attitude of looking after the woman. When actually it was actually the opposite way around. Mum used to look after dad really, right? Um, Dad's perception was that he looked after her, right? So
Yeah.
he said, "No, no, I can't leave because I got to look after mum." I said, "Mum's fine. Mum is really, really fine,
Yeah.
right?" And
And
it's
you
really,
never
really,
said, I got mom, like, I'll
yeah,
look
yeah.
after.
Sorry.
You didn't tell him, like, I'll look after mom?
I said, "Yeah, look, mum's fine. Like there's five kids, including me, and mum was in a nursing home, and she was happy, and she had a beautiful room with light, and she was reading, and she was talking to people and stuff. Mum was okay,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's really interesting when Dad crossed over. It was a really, really interesting experience when I went and saw Mum, and Mum, about 3 days later, she didn't even talk about Dad, and I thought, what? And I thought I didn't want to bring him up because I thought maybe something's going on here. And I asked the nurse. I said, "Oh, is Mum talking about my dad?" She said, "No." She just didn't talk about him anymore. And they were married for 63 years and very close, right? And I thought, wow, this is
Just
the way
because she
Mum.
was in a different area, like in a different part of the home and didn't have
No,
to.
because Dad had crossed over.
Oh, wow.
Dad had crossed over, but Mum wasn't even talking about Dad. I
Because she
find that
finally
quite,
got to live for her.
yeah, totally. And that's why I said to Dad, "Don't worry about Dad, don't worry about Mum. Mum will be fine." I knew Mum would be fine because she's a strong person, right?
Well, she probably just felt the weight come off, like, I can finally be
Totally,
me.
totally. So it was a really,
That's
really,
powerful.
that was a really, really interesting experience. Can you imagine your parents have been
Yeah.
there for 60 years and your dad dies, your mum doesn't even talk about him and go, what? It's like so bizarre.
I know, but like, it was really funny. He's on that damn ladder. And I go, so? Well, he might fall off. I go, then he falls off.
hmm,
You can't worry about it. Well, I got to worry about it. And I go, remember when you worry? You got
yeah,
sick.
yeah,
Like,
totally.
if if people wipe out, they wipe out. Like, we're all gonna
There-
drop dead one day. Like,
There's an
some
interesting,
maybe in bed, some maybe not. I don't know.
there's an interesting experience my mum created, right? Because my mum was a powerful person, but for some reason, dad, there's an interesting connection between her and dad. But mum had this car accident. She wasn't
Mhm.
driving, but one of her friends died in the car accident. My mum had a broken neck.
Mhm.
And yeah, yeah. And I'm living in a different city at the time, and my sister rang me up and said, "Oh, they think mum's going to die, right?" But anyway, so I sent mum. I talked to mum energetically, right?
Mhm.
Because she was unconscious, and I said, "Mum, do you want to die? And I hope you move on, or do you want to heal?" And she said, "No, no, I want to heal. I'm doing this for a reason." I said, "Yeah, I know why you're doing it, right? I'll talk about that in a minute, right?" And anyway, when she woke up the next day, my sister rang me up and said, "You're not going to believe it, but Mum's gone through amazing healing, and she's okay." But the weirdest thing is that when she woke up, she said to the nurse, "Can you thank Paul for coming in?" And Mum said, "No," and the nurse said, "No, Paul. He lives in a different city." She said, "No, Paul was here. I knew he was here because I was there helping her." Right? So she did made this amazing recovery, but she had to go through quite a bit of recovery because she had a broken neck.
Yeah.
And this is why I've discovered why she actually created this event was because Dad had to look after himself and it made Dad aware that he was so dependent on Mum. And
Well,
I thought that's a really, really interesting experience. And the funny there's one thing that came out of it, Dad, which is quite funny. I used to stir Mum about this. Mum always wanted to go on a cruise, right? And Dad never
yeah.
wanted to go on one. And Dad
Was it
promised
because he
Mum,
wouldn't spend the money?
no, no, no. He just something about water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because I
no,
know
no, no,
some
no,
people won't do it because they won't spend the money.
no, no, no. It wasn't about money. And Dad promised Mum they'll go on a cruise if she actually heals. And after that, they went on quite a few different cruises. And I kept stirring Mum
Wonderful.
and I kept stirring Mum. I said, "Mum, there must have been an easier way to actually get Dad to go on a cruise and creating all this character." And she sort of smiled. She sort of knew deep down that she'd created that.
Yeah.
Part of the reason was to change the relationship, but part of it was also to get a cruise.
So, do your siblings have these gifts?
No, I live in a Muggles family. No one in my family could really relate to me. Mum didn't understand me, but my mum was unconditional love, and she said, "Paul, whatever you do, I don't understand what you're doing, but if you love doing it, that's cool." But everyone else in my family thought I was totally crazy, right?
But
They
okay,
would
so this is only my thought and how I've experienced things is you couldn't be the way you are without either your mom or dad or a grandparent having the gift,
totally.
right? And so even as I look at me and my sisters and I go, okay, so who is more intuitive psychic? And in my family, it really depended on the day. Like there's sometimes that I'll be like, what did mom know that I wasn't seeing when I look back at things? Or dad would say something like, just you'd think it's totally off the cuff. And then 2 days later, it's smack you and go, huh, that was truth. But you weren't seeing it then, right?
No, I think
Yeah.
I said, as I said before, I think my dad was quite magical, but he didn't want to acknowledge it because he didn't fit into his the perception he wanted people of him, right,
Hmm.
at that time. So I thought dad was quite magical, but I also feel that it was in my early generations as well, right? I thought I think there's a lot of magic in there. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. But no, in my direct parents and siblings, no, they weren't magic. Which, and I felt I had that experience to understand what it's like not to fit into the world, which I found quite challenging as a child, right? But it's not just my family I didn't fit into. I didn't understand the school system, or I didn't understand why people working long hours, not looking for validation outside of themselves, right?
Hmm.
But that helped me understand a lot about my journey. And so it's interesting when you talk about tour guides, because I like traveling as well, because in a way, healings are like a tour. So like your tour guide, you're taking people on the journey, right? So it's like you're learning how to be a tour guide,
Yeah.
right? So in terms of my journey, I think that was important to help me understand other people who don't fit into the world.
Hmm.
Yeah. And therefore they tend to create symptoms, right? And it could be epilepsy or dementia or whatever, because they don't know how to live in the world, right?
Yeah.
Because I understand that, because I didn't fit into the world, is that's the sort of gift I've got from actually my experiences, and therefore you can be more compassionate and understand other people because of what you've gone through. So I see that as a gift,
Hmm.
right? Whereas at the
Well,
time you see it, you think it is a bad experience, but I don't believe there's a bad experience. I believe there's just experiences
hmm.
to learn to be of service to humanity.
Well, and in my case, like I've I've had 5 exits that I'm not allowed to take. And I'm like, but I want to come home. It's not your time. I'm like, then why am I here? Patience, it's not your time. And I'm like, if I hear that sentence one more time, right? Because I heard that like other than the five times I wanted to go, um, it was 30 years. I heard it's not your time.
I like the joke. Um, if you don't have patience, you become a patient.
Yeah.
And I remember an experience like I was suicidal as a teenager because I thought, why am I in this fucking crazy world? I can't understand it. So I was sitting at a railway station. I was crying, and I was waiting for the train to jump in front of. This is how I decided. Right? I'm sitting on the train station, crying, and this little girl comes up to me with a flower, and she said, "We need you." And so I felt like she was an angel that came
Yeah.
because she looked at me in the eye and said, "No, we need you." And I thought, "What kids? The world? Shit! No, I've got to stay here." I still remember that moment. It was like golden moment. It was like a miracle. And it was a miracle. It was like miracle, me recall, right? Recalling who I was. Like, no, she just reminded me of why I'm here.
Yeah.
You haven't left yet because you're still needed here. So I was accepting that and go, okay, why am I still here? Right?
Well, and I've come to that conclusion of I am here for this time.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
Yeah,
like as much as the craziness happened in my younger years, like once we shifted into the age of Aquarius, all of a
yeah,
sudden it was like, it's your time. This is your reason for being. And I'm like, okay, like, you know, and yeah, and I understand it now, but oh my gosh, that 15-year-old, that
yeah,
23-year-old, like,
yeah, totally.
whoa. It was like, I'm out of here. Like, this is crazyville. Right? And you understand it.
See, because the thing, because I wonder if I said I don't fit into this world. Why am I here? And then a light globe came on one day, and I thought, oh my God, I'm not here to fit into the world. I'm
Yeah.
here to help change it. But I'm in the world to understand it, so that I can know how to help change it. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so I feel when you understand who you really are and why you're here, being authentic in terms of authentic conversations, well, you understand that you're here for a bigger reason than you, right?
Yeah.
And therefore it's just accepting. So sometimes with experiences, I mightn't totally understand them because something's bigger than I can perceive it. And I go, that's okay. Everything's okay. And it's like divine timing, and I'm just trusting everything happens for a reason at a time, right? It's okay.
Yeah. I could talk to you forever.
Great
Like,
conversation. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know. And I just looked at the clock going, are you joking? Anyways, we might have a part two. Um, because yeah, this is fascinating. And it's been a long time that I've had this conversation that is just like we're in sync, like absolutely same page all the way. So, what do you want people to know who are listening about you, how to find them, find you, find them? Anyways,
Okay, so I'll give you what I'll do is I'll leave some links under the video that when you post it, that they can people will link into.
yeah, and
I've got an online,
I will have your links that you've left
yeah,
me,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. Like I've got an online school which
Yeah.
is based about helping people know how to heal themselves
Hmm.
and knowing how to train healers because I like to train healers. And that school is called the Academy for Life Mastery. Now, one of the courses I've got is self healing, which people can learn how to heal themselves, which is really, really powerful. So I'll give you those links. But I like to leave people with I've got 6 words that summarize my attitude to life because I like simplicity.
Okay.
Know yourself, be yourself, share yourself.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy. So let me explain it. Know yourself, find out who you are, authentic, which is what I went through 30 years ago. Oh my God, who am I real, Paul? And I think when you understand who you are, knowing who you are, why you're here, it changes your whole perception. Like that similar as that girl that got sold as a sex slave, changed her whole life when she knows who she is. Know yourself. Then it's about being yourself, giving yourself permission to be who you are.
Hmm.
Because like when I left university going to healing, all people around me thought I was totally crazy. What, why are you a professor at university? Why do you want to go into healing? Because it's my passion, it's my purpose, and I feel it feels right. You know what I mean?
Well,
From my
and
intuition.
a university teacher is like sought after. Like that's tenure.
To-
That's like, yeah, I know.
Totally. Like
I get it.
people think like it's an amazing job, right? Why would you want to leave? But I thought,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't. There's a lot of people at university sort of hiding from the world. So it's
Yeah.
sort of not a place to be very creative, really, because they like to keep the status quo. But it's about learning how to be yourself, accepting who you are, and not looking for validation outside of yourself. Is okay. I'm not here to fit into the world. I'm here to change it. And sometimes what I might say might freak out people, but that's okay. Maybe they need freaking out. And then the last 2 words, share yourself. It's about okay. Once you understand why you're here and what you've gone through, is giving yourself permission to share what you've learned so you can help the universe, help humanity move on.
Hmm.
Share yourself.
That's beautiful.
Mm. Thank you. Thanks, Adele. I really appreciate you giving me this
Yeah.
time, and I really enjoyed this chat. See, I don't call this work. I think when you're really doing things you like, it's not work. Like this is just a great conversation. As you said, we could talk for hours. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I want to really appreciate. Hopefully, the people who listen to this podcast have got something out of this that will help them on their journey.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank Paul for being a guest on Authentic Conversations. I'm your host, Adele Bernard, and I'll do the recap later. Well, I just want to go and recap that conversation because I don't know, my eyes were open to a whole different way of looking about Alzheimer's, about the elderly, about telepathy, and how we can talk to them. They don't have to be on the other side. Like, that's mediumship and that's great. But what about telepathy with the ones that are living? And, like using it as, um, if you have to have that hard conversation with somebody, or you want to get that raise at work or whatever, right? Like have it in your mind, see it going through, see the communication between you and your boss or you and your spouse or you and your kids of coming with that open heart, that, you know, win-win energy, and seeing how it can be solved before the conversation happens. So the conversations with ease and grace, and using words are so important, and they are becoming more important to how we use our words. So, fabulous conversation with Paul Statton, and yeah, keeping I'll keep you up to date with whatever he's doing. And once again, this show is sponsored by Transition Clarity. That's my company. And as a soul strategist and intuitive guide, I am here to help you maneuver the new world through by letting go of the conditionings, the untruths, and the belief systems that no longer work, and they're not you. It's about leaving your head, moving into your heart, and shining your light like nobody else can. Please like, share, and subscribe. It helps the show, it helps the algorithms, and I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you.